This is San Diego News Daily.
I'm Monica Dean. Let's get right into your top local stories. We begin with a developing story out of Palomar Mountain State Park, where investigators are working to recover human remains. Today, we've learned the remains are not believed to be Angelica Brophy. The Oceanside mother has been missing for more than a month now and was last spotted at Palomar Mountain. The Sheriff's Department says they have been in touch with her family as they work to find out who the remains belong to and what happened. NBC7's Andra Stafford has the latest.
Although the remains found here are not believed to be connected to the disappearance of Angelica Brophy, it does give you an idea of the kind of terrain that the search teams in that case have been facing. These remains were found down a pretty steep embankment here off of South Grade Road, and it's been very challenging for investigators just to recover those remains. Again, it's very steep and covered in thick brush.
Well, I could barely smell it on Monday. But then on Tuesday, it was big. Went down looking, but only could go so far.
Bert Hulbert lives in the area and says he came to check it out after hearing from several neighbors who said they first noticed a strong odor last Friday. But it wasn't until yesterday afternoon that a volunteer search and rescue team spotted the human remains. By the time the Sheriff's Department was called in, though, it was starting to get dark, so they decided to hold off on recovery efforts until this morning. Again, there's no word yet on who this person is or what happened out here. The Sheriff's Department is asking anyone who may have any information to give them a call. Of course, we will continue to stay on top of the latest developments and bring you any new information as we get it. From Palomar Mountain, I'm Audra Stafford, NBC7.
A TikTok influencer who shot and killed his estranged wife and her friend in a downtown high-rise is asking for a new trial. Ali Abulaban was handed 2 life sentences, but his defense attorneys now argue jurors were exposed to damaging evidence, including racist and homophobic slurs that prevented them from viewing Abulaban objectively. Prosecutors called any errors demonstratively harmless. The court decided to take the case under submission. The man accused of nearly killing his neighbor and taking aim at La Mesa police is being held without bail. 31-year-old Trevor Shell pleaded not guilty yesterday. Prosecutors say around 3 Saturday morning he got into an argument with his girlfriend in their apartment. They say the argument woke his next-door neighbor, and when Shell fired a shot, that bullet went through the wall and grazed his neighbor's head. Prosecutors say when officers arrived, a sergeant saw Shell in a shooting stance and then heard a click, but the gun jammed.
He shot one victim in the head and attempted to murder police officers who were responding to the scene.
Officers say Shell tried to run away, but police took him into custody. The gunshot victim had to get 8 stitches in his head. The domestic violence victim was not harmed during the shooting. Shell is due back in court next week. Mold concerns forcing Del Sur Elementary students to stay home from school today. The school posted the delay is due to, quote, moisture-related issues. On a webpage for parents, the school said 9 rooms were found to have moderately elevated or elevated level mold spores. Sky Ranger 7 spotted these trucks at the school yesterday afternoon, which belong to an environmental services company. The school says they are working to clean, test, and make sure classrooms are safe for students. School is now set to begin in the middle of next week. Chief Meteorologist Sheena Parveen joins us now with a look at your forecast. Hi, Sheena.
Hi there. As we head through the afternoon, it's going to be mostly cloudy and cooler today. Mid-70s at the coast, low 80s inland, mid-70s in the mountains, deserts, upper 90s. So that's all because of the onshore flow. It's going to be much more comfortable around here. After today, though, we are going to warm back up. So it's going to be short-lived with our cool down, mid-80s inland tomorrow and Saturday. And then for Sunday, we'll be closer to 90 degrees, Monday around 90, and we stay hot early next week. So the heat's just going to be building again over the weekend. I'll show you everybody's 10-day forecast coming up.
Thank you. Low morale and possible safety issues. Some military families are sounding the alarm over conditions aboard San Diego-based USS Lincoln, how military leadership is now taking action. And we're learning new details on the latest major drug bust by San Diego police. We'll tell you how the investigation unfolded next. Stay with us.
We are rolling. Your left, I'm sorry.
Let's do this.
Where do you get your information from? Well, definitely start with the local news.
The reason why I love listening to local news like NBC, they give the facts.
California families could feel
They have a genuine interest, first as people and second as a news team.
Because this is their community too.
Sometimes the news isn't always fun. Bringing it to us every day in good and bad times is something that we rely on.
Nice to have you with us.
This is San Diego News Daily.
I'm Monica Dean. Welcome back. Just in the last couple of hours, we learned the U.S. military is replacing San Diego-based USS Abraham Lincoln in the Middle East after a record deployment of 260 days and counting and reports of poor conditions on the ship. A U.S. official confirms USS George Washington will replace the Lincoln. Families of the service members on board the Lincoln have raised concerns over deteriorating conditions on the carrier. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal sent a letter to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the acting Navy Secretary asking when the Lincoln will get a break. The extended deployment without any breaks had raised concerns about safety. In his letter, Blumenthal said in part an aircraft carrier is dangerous in normal times, but with the sustained increased tempo in combat operations directed at Iran, he wants to know what the plan is from here. Blumenthal also asked about the conditions aboard the ship. Earlier this week, the families of a number of sailors and Marines on board the Lincoln spoke with MS Now about reported maintenance issues as well as food and supply shortages.
You're in this constant operating environment that's always moving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no rest. So
the morale is bad. You're not being able to shower. They don't have toiletries. They're having to share stuff. They're exhausted.
On the final page of the 3-page letter, Blumenthal asked what the military objective is, continued deployment of the Lincoln intended to achieve in Iran, followed by how does the department assess whether the carrier's continued presence is necessary. A U.S. official tells NBC News military leaders have been privately raising concerns inside the Pentagon and White House about low morale and widespread fatigue among American service members aboard the Lincoln. Now we have an update for you to a story we first told you about yesterday. These are the new images of what investigators found in several homes after 15 separate search warrants were served in a major drug bust by San Diego police. Authorities say a slew of drugs and more than a dozen firearms were seized after a months-long investigation, which began when detectives searched online for drug sales. Police believe the suspects might have been targeting younger people due to their use of social media and activity in the college area. But officials say it's the firearms that were especially concerning after one of the suspects posted a threat to migrants on social media.
Showed a photo of himself looking through a scope pointing towards a Home Depot. We had multiple suspects that had firearms throughout the investigation. Some of them were assault rifles. Some people were building them.
In all, 7 people were arrested. Chief Meteorologist Sheeta Parveen will have a look at your weather forecast right after this.
On January 22nd, I got a phone call from my daughter.
Rolling.
All right. She said, Mom, the water's already waist high, and we were all scrambling.
There's been 2 wildfires that have come through. We were able to watch NBC 7, and we knew that as long as they were there, we were going to be okay.
We're going to be here. We're going to keep an eye on things.
Because of you guys, they acted.
This is the source of all of this neighborhood's problems.
Everything can be so unpredictable, and we rely on this coverage.
And that's a tornado warning.
Hi there, I'm NBC 7 meteorologist Sheena Parveen. For today at the coast, we'll be in the mid-70s, mostly cloudy. For the inland valleys, low 80s and mostly cloudy. So this is unseasonably cool. We have a brief cool down. It's really just today. After today, we start to warm back up. Mountains, mid-70s, deserts, upper 90s. So for the weekend ahead, we'll be warming back to around 80 at the coast, mid to upper 80s inland early next week. It will be hotter again. The heat returns next week. Mountains and deserts also heat up again for the weekend.
Thank you. Our Clear the Shelters campaign is in full swing as we work to find pets their forever homes, and we want to update you on one of those success stories. Last week, Rancho Coastal Humane appeared on NBC 7 Midday and introduced us to Cotija, the cattle dog. Well, today we're happy to report that Cotija has been adopted. Congratulations to her and her new family. A reminder, Rancho Coastal Humane Society is waiving all adoption fees for adult pets 6 months and older throughout the month of August. We have more coverage to count on at NBC7.com. Thanks for watching.